7% of GNI. So could we have a debate, please, in government time on how it may be possible to find a lost moral compass?
Well, look, I think we all share the pride that the previous Labour government did in the area of debt reduction and aid for some of the poorest countries across the world. We're also proud that we have a commitment which remains to returning our aid budget to 0.7% of GDP. We did have a statement to this House about the need by the Prime Minister about the need for us to find some extra funding for defence expenditure in the changing and uncertain and insecure world in which we find ourselves. But we remain absolutely committed to returning the aid budget to the 0.7% levels we set.
Sir Julian Lewis.
The Leader of the House will surely agree that when we send our armed forces into dangerous situations, they deserve to be protected against vexatious, litigious claims which are ultimately thrown out, but only after great expense, distress and strain. There was a rather inconclusive exchange at defence questions on Monday as to whether we should withdraw or in fact derogate from the ECHR for the proposed force that may go on a peacekeeping mission in Ukraine. So may we actually have a statement from a senior law officer confirming that it is perfectly possible to derogate from the ECHR for a specific mission like this without in any way committing ourselves to staying in or leaving the ECHR in the long term?
Well, he raises a really important matter, and I'm sorry that the answer he or maybe a colleague received in defence questions on Monday wasn't satisfactory, and I'll look into that and make sure that he does get one. And absolutely, I think this is a good matter to raise with a law officer who has, I think we've got Attorney General questions at the beginning of May, but in the meantime, I will ensure he gets a good reply about that important question.
Mark Ferguson.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. To have a PhD in oncology, to be a GP, to work in a women's prison, each would mark you out as a remarkable person, but Dr. Jennifer Llewellyn did all three. In her final email to me on the 29th of January, she said, "I implore you to keep up the fight for those with cholangiocarcinoma." I regret to inform the House that Dr. Llewellyn passed away on the 15th of March, leaving behind her partner and 3 children, as well as all of the rest of those in my community who loved, respected and relied on her. In Dr. Llewellyn's name, I want to keep my promise to her and keep on fighting. So will the Leader of the House make time for a debate on the treatment of those with cholangiocarcinoma?
Well, can I thank him for raising that and pay my tribute to Dr. Jennifer Llewellyn as well. She sounds like a remarkable, really truly remarkable woman, and I'm really sorry to learn that she's no longer with us and leaving behind her partner and 3 children who I'm sure are incredibly proud of the contribution that she made across all of those professions and that he described. And he rightly raises the treatment and the supply chain for medicines, and the Department for Health is committed to making sure that people like Dr. Llewellyn do get the treatment that they need in a timely fashion, but I will make sure that a minister responds to him fully.
Anne Davies.
Diolch, Madam Dirprwy Llefarydd. 172 of my constituents have been affected by the British Coal Staff Superannuation Scheme scandal. And in the autumn budget, the UK government released equivalent funds from the miners' pension scheme, but not for those in the BCSS. The government's failure to release frozen funds is causing immense hardship, such as that caused to the Allied Steel and Wire workers. And pensioners who have paid into the system for decades are now left without the support that they deserve. What assurance can the Leader of the House give me that the government is working towards a fair resolutions for those affected by this scandal? And can we please have a written statement on this issue? Diolch.
Sorry to hear the case. She raises an important issue. We have been taking steps to make sure there's a fair resolution in these cases. I will ensure she gets a full update on the matter, and should it progress further, I'll make sure that that's brought forward to the floor of the House.
Matt Weston.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Last Saturday was the anniversary, the sad anniversary, the 8th anniversary of the passing of PC Keith Palmer, who died in the line of duty. He died securing this place. We should remember him. Up and down the country, as we saw last summer, police officers put themselves in harm's way, securing and making safe the public. They often get injured in such events. And if they are injured and they are forced to retire early, they miss out on their long service duty medal. So I wondered if the Leader of the House would join me or arrange perhaps a meeting for me with the appropriate minister to discuss the need for an injury retirement medal for those officers who pay a sacrifice in making the public safe.
Leader of the House.
Well, can I thank him for giving us a moment to remember Keith Palmer. Many of us were there that day, and we will never forget the fact that he gave his life in protecting those of us inside on that day. But he's absolutely right. This sounds like a really good idea, an injury retirement medal to make up for those who would otherwise have got a long service medal, and I will ensure that the Home Secretary hears his call for that today and he gets a good reply.
John Cooper.
Speaker, thank you. The A77 and A75 roads are absolutely critical to the people of the southwest of Scotland, but they're also critical to the UK because they service the exceptionally busy ferry port of Cairnryan, which links us with our friends in Northern Ireland. The difficulty with these roads is obvious if you ever travel them. There's another difficulty, however, and that's that the Department of Transport here don't seem to think it's anything to do with them. The Secretary of State for Scotland is too busy to meet me to discuss this. And when the Honourable Member for Ayr, Carrick and Cumnock, who I see on our place on the government benches, wrote to the Transport Secretary in Scotland, we received a high-handed letter saying that it would be inappropriate to meet us. Madam Deputy Speaker, what's inappropriate is the way devolution does not appear to be working. Can we pluck from the logjam of backbench business committee debate ideas, one on devolution and how it's failing?
Leader of the House.
Well, I'd certainly agree with him that I don't think the government in Scotland is working. It's working effectively in the interests of his constituents and others. I'm sorry to hear about the difficulties he's had in raising the issue of the A77 road in his constituency, and I'm sure in others as well. I will certainly ask that the Scottish Minister meets with him to discuss that, and we can get right to the bottom of who's actually responsible and that he speaks to those who are.
Elaine Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. As part of East Ayrshire's Youth Awards, pupils from Bellsbank Primary School in my constituency in Ayr, Carrick and Cumnock won an intergenerational champion award. Ellie, Sienna and Lacey recently joined Bellsbank Project Sewing Group and made footer blankets. They donated these to elderly residents in a local nursing home suffering from dementia. Will the Leader of the House join in me with congratulations to the pupils of Bellsbank on their award and their enthusiasm for learning with older people?
Well, absolutely. It's always lovely and brilliant to hear such stories of this, and I'll join her in congratulating Ellie, Sienna and Lacey for making their footer blankets, I think they're called, for the elderly residents of her constituency. What a lovely story, and it's just a reminder of the importance of these kind of intergenerational programmes.
Tessa Munt.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Can the Leader of the House ask her colleagues in the Department for Health and Social Care for a statement explaining the rationale behind a decision last month to alter the eligibility criteria for additional compensation in the infected blood compensation scheme, where the special category mechanism was replaced with the Severe Health Condition Award, which means that this one and only group of 916 people with hepatitis C, including some of my constituents, have been singled out and are now prevented from receiving the supplementary compensation they expected and desperately need, because these people are so unwell.
Yeah. Leader of the House.
Well, can I thank you for raising it? It's actually a matter for the Cabinet Office rather than the Health Department, but thank you for raising that. She's absolutely right. The government is committed to paying comprehensive compensation, not just to those infected, but to those affected as well. We've set aside 11.8 billion pounds to compensate those affected in full. I know of the case that the issue that she's talking about, and we are determined to sort of work closely with the Infected Blood Compensation Authority to ensure that everybody impacted is aware and is part of those conversations. So I'll ensure she gets a detailed response.
David Williams.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. It's no surprise that under a Labour government, hospital waiting lists have fallen for 5 months in a row. At the Royal Stoke Hospital, which brilliantly serves my constituents in Stoke-on-Trent, Kidsgrove and beyond, there are now 3,311 fewer patients waiting 18 weeks or longer to be seen compared to July last year. Can the Leader of the House please make time for a debate on reducing hospital waiting lists so that we can continue to sustain our progress in this area?
Leader of the House.
Well, absolutely, and I know from talking to many colleagues that they really share his enthusiasm for what we've seen, which is quite a significant fall in waiting lists for the 5th month in a row, and that's having a direct impact on his constituents and many others as well. We've also hit our pledge to deliver over 2 million more elective care appointments, so this will further drive down waiting lists, but I will ensure this House is kept fully up to date as our progress to cutting waiting times, as we said we would.
And before I call the next member, members will have seen that we've got over 20 members on the feet and we've got around 20 minutes left. So please keep questions and answers short. Sean Burry.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Yesterday, the Office for Students levied a wholly disproportionate fine on the University of Sussex after what looks like a flawed and wasteful investigation at a time when the Higher Education Sector is in financial crisis. So could the Leader of the House ask the Education Secretary if she will be responding to concerns about why the Office took so long in conducting its investigation, its behaviour, the cost it incurred, and the ramifications of what is a very serious judgment?
Well, I understand this is a very serious judgment which will be of concern to her constituents, and I recognise that it has taken some time and it's led to a significant fine on the university as well. We've had a few urgent questions and statements on these broader matters to this House in recent months, but I will ensure that the Secretary of State responds to her today and comes to the House with an update.
Joanna Baxter.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Last week, I was alerted to the fact that one of my constituents, Owen Haggerty, a serving Royal Navy officer, had been detained in a jail in Bahrain. I immediately made contact with colleagues in the relevant departments, but much to my surprise, no one would engage with me to inform me of his welfare or the current status of his case, and that was because apparently I did not have his explicit consent. He was sitting in a jail in Bahrain. I had his mother's consent, she was also a constituent, and yet still nobody would speak to me. It has been over a week now, and until this morning, that the FCDO has now contacted me to say that they now have Owen's consent to talk to me about his case. I'm very pleased that he has been granted a royal pardon by the King of Bahrain. But can the Leader of the House ensure that the FCDO work with me to arrange his urgent deportation back to this country, and that we avoid further delays in the future to MPs securing access to the information they need to support their constituents.
Leader of the House.
Well, I'm very sorry to hear of her experiences with the FCDO, but I am pleased that Owen Haggerty has now received that pardon this morning. She raised this matter with me a couple of days ago, which is why I raised it with the Foreign Office and which is why they were in touch with her this morning. That's absolutely my role as leader of this House when those conversations are not forthcoming. But I can assure her that both the Ministry of Defence and the Foreign Office have been working tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure the pardon, and I will ensure they continue to work with her and Owen's family to make sure he comes back to the UK.
Martin Vickers.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. In reply to an earlier question, the leader referenced that the BBC should serve all local communities. It's around 18 months now since we had a shake-up of BBC local radio, and the result has been it's much less local. So could we have a debate in government time to consider how the BBC could be held to account for that and to actually provide local radio that is indeed more local?
Leader of the House.
Well, I know the shake-up in local radio caused a great deal of concern to members across this House at the time that it was being proposed and implemented in the last Parliament, and many members raised their concerns directly with the Director General and others at that time. I'm certainly happy to raise with the Department how that has gone and what the feedback has been, and will ensure that he and other members are updated of that and kept informed.
Julie Minns.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. It will be 4 years this summer since Cumbria's Newton Rig Agricultural College closed its door, and with it so ended the last course in hill farming available in England. Given the importance of hill farming and upland land management in constituencies like mine, will the Leader of the House please make time for a debate on the importance of land-based education and skills?
Leader of the House.
Well, absolutely. I'm really sorry to hear that the hill farming course that she describes for her constituents is no longer available. Doesn't sound like a good development to me. And as part of our sort of programme of skills and education, I know that ministers will be very keen to discuss with her how we can ensure that agricultural education, such as hill farming, is at the centre of those thoughts.
Tom Gordon.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Yesterday we were joined by some of my constituents in the Speaker's Gallery for PMQs, Harry Brown and his family. Harry had battled childhood cancer and overcame it. Yesterday after PMQs I spoke with him about his experience, and he talked about how he had to go from as far up as Newcastle and the RVI hospital up there down to Great Ormond Street throughout his treatment. So will the Leader of the House make time in government time for a debate about how we can better support childhood cancers and treat people closer to home?
Leader of the House.
Well, can I thank him for bringing Harry Brown into Parliament yesterday and for talking to him at great length about his experiences. He's absolutely right. I think this balance between ensuring that we have specialist care, and that often is centred in certain places, whilst making sure that there is care in the community, is absolutely at the heart of what we're trying to do to make sure that there is preventative community and good NHS care for all of those who need it all of the time.
Gordon McKee.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The football pitch at Merrily Primary School in my constituency is used by hundreds of kids every day, but it is in a terrible condition. It needs redone, but the local SNP-run council is refusing to provide funding, meaning local parents have to identify grant funding. Will the Leader of the House join with me in praising those local parents and make time for a debate on community football pitches?
Leader of the House.
Well, absolutely. I'm sorry to hear that local people are having to fundraise for such an issue, but he's absolutely right. Football pitches are at the heart of our community. We've got, for England, we've got a football bill going through which will support grassroots funding. The Scottish Government now has a very good settlement, big budget that it's had from this government, so hopefully they can use some of that to support his community better.
Jim Allister.
Could we have a debate on the upcoming latest iteration of the crippling Irish Sea border, namely the parcels border, which is due to become effective from the 1st of May, which will see every parcel moving from Great Britain to Northern Ireland, including personal parcels from a grandmother to a grandchild, being subject to the requirements of the EU customs border, and particularly damaging for business, because business-to-business parcels can only be sent if the sender belongs to the trusted trader scheme and pays the fee, if they make a customs declaration including where the goods came from, what they are. When can we discuss the fact that this United Kingdom is being partitioned and severed by an unnecessary border, namely in the Irish Sea?
Leader of the House.
Well, can I thank him for that? As he will be aware, we are committed to the Windsor framework, but we are committed to also working through these types of issues that he raises, and those conversations are ongoing, and I will ensure he's updated on where they're up to before the 1st of May.
I really do want to get all members in if I possibly can, so please be kind to each other, otherwise some people will not get in. Josh Dean.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. This Saturday, my constituent David Kiddie will be starting his 300-kilometre walk for 2-year-old Lily. Lily was diagnosed with metachromatic leukodystrophy in late 2024, a rare progressive degenerative disease that will sadly, in her family's words, slowly take her away. David is raising money to support Lily and her family on this difficult journey and raise awareness of MLD. So would the Leader of the House join me in wishing David well as he prepares to begin his walk this weekend?
Yeah. Leader of the House.
Well, absolutely. I'll join him in supporting David in his fundraising efforts for Lily, who suffers from MLD, and thank him for raising that today, and hopefully people will give to his efforts.
Jim Shannon.
Deputy Speaker, in Nigeria, where religion shapes many aspects of life, over 3.5 million people have been violently displaced from their homes. Religious leaders have been kidnapped and killed. Communities long to return to their land, rebuild their lives and be protected from marginalisation by extremist groups. They seek restoration of security and dignity, yet the camps they often live in lack basic aid, supplies and food, while those responsible for the atrocities continue to act with impunity. So will the Leader of the House asked the FCDO, Minister Secretary of State, to set out what steps government has taken to support efforts to end impunity for the perpetrators of these crimes, and if a reporting mechanism is established to ensure transparency in how UK aid money has been used in Borno, Yobe and Anambra states. Thank you so much.
Leader of the House.
Well, can I first of all, as somebody who I think has attended every single business question I have done as I've been Leader of the House, congratulate him on his 70th birthday on Tuesday this week. I think the Honourable Gentleman deserves special mention for that. And can I thank him for yet again raising an important religion and belief for all, and I will ensure that the Foreign Office Minister has heard his call today and he gets a response back.
Jim Dixon.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I'm pleased to say that the excellent Dartford Sharks Basketball Club will be playing in the Medway League Men's Cup Final this weekend. However, like sports clubs all across the country, they've been finding it increasingly difficult to access regular facilities for them to train and play, with schools and colleges unable to afford to open their doors to hosting external sports clubs. Might the Leader of the House join me in wishing the Sharks luck for their final on Saturday, but also would she make time for a debate on how we can increase access to sports facilities in public buildings like schools?
Leader of the House.
Well, absolutely. I'll join him in wishing Dartford Sharks all the very best. I think we've got a debate coming up soon on supporting these types of measures, but this government is absolutely committed to grassroots sports facilities like the ones he describes, and I hope that the Dartford Sharks will be able to make use of that soon.
Jacob Collier.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The National Brewery Centre in Burton was shamefully closed under the last Conservative administration and Member of Parliament, depriving us of an important link to our brewing history. The current Labour-led East Staffordshire Borough Council is working at pace to reopen it, and I am keen to get government support. Given the importance of our brewery heritage to our national identity and local economy, will the Leader of the House grant a debate on support for our brewing heritage?
Leader of the House.
Well, I know brewing heritage is of particular interest to him and his constituent. I thought he was going to invite me to taste that